Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another of our very exciting Awakening to the Golden Age events. This evening, we're going to be talking about self-sustainability and taking our power back, and things like living off-grid, things like having biodynamic vegetable gardens outside your back door or your front door for that matter, off-grid heating systems, water storage, indigenous plants, taking your power back. In other words, where nobody has power over you. So you can live without anybody having to tell you what to do or pay up or anything like that. So this is something that I'm just saying hi to everyone. This is something that I've mastered, and I've been on this for about, I would say, almost 20 years. I decided quite a long time ago, 20 years ago, that yes, I wanted to be self-sustainable. So we just, by luck, fortune, etc., moved into a place where there was a huge garden, and we were able to develop it into a completely indigenous space. And that's actually where I started. So I started with the garden. Remember, my children were small. So I never had lots and lots of time. And I thought to myself, okay, get the framework of the trees in. And then when you look up one day when the children are older, you will have a beautiful framework. So I did get the help of a specialist, a doctor in horticulture, especially indigenous horticulture, and in Southern Africa, because I'm in South Africa. And so we created different biomes according to a high veld, a low veld, a bush veld, a grassland, a coastal forest. And we planted plants exactly as they occur in nature. In other words, the ground cover, the small bushes, the large bushes, and the trees were all in alignment as if you were in a coastal forest, or as if you were in the low veld, the bush veld, high veld area. So we really created this really awesome space. And of course, what I noticed immediately was that the trees brought along the insects with them, the insects that they were the hosts of. So suddenly I had big green grasshoppers, I had ladybirds, I had moths on the wall. You know, when you go into the country and you get moths all over the walls, it was like literally living in the country. And I noticed immediately also that the vibration changed. Oh, there we go. I see you there. Sorry, I couldn't see you for a moment. I noticed that the total vibration of the place changed. And along with that came the bird life, because they would then eat the insects. And along came the butterflies, or the butterflies hatched, I'm not sure which chicken and egg situation. And I suddenly had this microbiome and this sort of hive of activity. And the bees kept wanting to make hives on the property all over the place. And I kept calling the beekeeper. And eventually I really realized, and I thought, okay, fine, stop sending the bees away. Create beehives. So that's exactly what I did. And these beehives have been going for literally, I could say 15 years. And I do get them attended to and all that. And I do have my own veil and I can do it. But obviously from a time point of view. So we've been getting raw honey literally for the last 15 odd years or so. And these are so rewarding because you actually don't have to do anything. You just need to clear out twice, 3 times a year, depending on the yield, and then leave enough honey for over the winter time. The hive thrives, and check on the queen, and the next season you get all your honey again. So I wouldn't know what it's like to buy shop honey or honey from anywhere else right now. So that was really a golden gift. And also to observe them and have them around. And I've mentioned before, Many of both my children actually are allergic to bees. Not one of them got stung on the property ever, because there was an abundance of nectar, an abundance of flowers, and the energy of the space didn't irritate them or want them to need them to kind of feel the need to sting anyone. And we had lots and lots of children playing here. Not anybody got stung either. So just to say, you know, the right environment, the right feel, the right energy, and, you know, nature comes to you. And we put out 2 other empty hives, and I mentioned last night, actually. Once I put the frequency field around my property, which has got DNA rejuvenating abilities, a scalar field, I've noticed now the bees went into one of the other hives after all this time. So that's exciting. And I actually just went outside quickly and I took a couple of photographs. I'll show you just now. So that was my structure. I structured the property and I got the right trees in. And this doctor in horticulture actually taught me, and he said to me, have a look at the top of the trees, beautiful trees, but not indigenous to the area of South Africa. Tell me if there's anything flying above them, and then have a look at the indigenous trees and tell me if there's anything flying above them. And honestly, above the indigenous trees, there were wasps, there were flies, there were bees, there were insects, a hive of activity happening. And above the plants that were in the wrong biome or the wrong country, there wasn't anything happening. So that taught me a huge amount, and also observing and watching the nature year after year after year. So it's not about whether the tree is a good tree or a bad tree at all. In fact, you don't get that. But they need to be in their right space, their right country. Otherwise, they do become pests. They do suck up all the water. They do make the birds sterile. So we have lories here, and if they eat this little berry of the syringa tree, they become infertile. So, you know, just to say, and birds from other countries that were transported to this country, for example, I've noticed, would block their competitor birds, South African birds, from feeding their babies. They literally guard the nest so the mother can't get there or the father to feed their babies. So, you know, you see all of this kind of thing and it starts making sense to you. So I really did observe that, and it was really amazing. Some of the trees that are host trees to, for example, the African monarch, and this is the wild apricot tree, wild peach, sorry, the Kigaleria. And what happens there is that you see this tree ablaze with golden, orange golden butterflies, and they're literally laying day in and day out. And then after the time period when the little caterpillars hatch out, they actually decimate the tree. There's virtually nothing left. It's kind of a natural pruning. And you see that all these caterpillars along the walls and inside and everywhere. And then within a month, this tree is in full bloom and it's grown bigger than it was before as well. So this is the whole interconnected, interrelated space I speak about when I say everything is by design. We're all in the quantum scalar space, and we just forgot a little bit. So it's all about harmonizing that, and you know, bringing the elementals in and acknowledging them and believing and looking out for them. And filling yourself up because they enter us. So all of that very interesting, and especially to see the birds that have come and nested. And we've got paradise flycatchers, we've got cuckoos, we've got I've got resident ducks, by the way, and I've got 2 small Maltese poodles, so they're not a big threat to ducks. And these ducks have been resident on my property for probably 6-7 years. They have their babies, the babies cross the lawn, they all jump in the pool, they all have to swim, and the dogs heard the word pool. And they then go back and they hide in the bushes. That's where they sleep, and the dogs can't get in there. So it just shows you that when there's a harmonizing energy, you start attracting all sorts of things, and you create this interdependent, interconnected environment. which I love, and people really do feel it and appreciate it when they come here. So then my next step was to conserve water. So the first thing I did there, also actually just before conserving water, is I put in a water activator. And this is a cylinder. It looks like an oxygen tank, but it's thinner and smaller, about 1.5 meters and about 15 centimeters wide, circular, and it's got magnets at the top and the bottom, and it's got a copper pipe that goes through it and down, so you attach it to your mains, and then embedded in this casing is rock dust, rose quartz, and organite. And together with the magnets, these high-frequency electrons will break up the particles in the water into subatomic particles and rendering the chlorine ineffective, etc. And at the same time, restructuring the water, putting all the triangles back together. So when you've got that, there's no space for any bacteria to live. And it increases the density of the water. So when we compared the activated water with spring water, and the density in the mouth, because if you hold spring water in your mouth, it almost feels a bit oily. And we found that this was actually happening. And I spoke to the inventors of all of this, and they said, yes, it actually wipes the memory away. So we know water carries memory and also carries all sorts of hormones that they don't get out. The filtration system doesn't always get out. So when we're cleansing it like this on a physical level, as well as removing the memory of the water, we really do have water that's almost spring water, which is a real luxury in the middle of a city. And that water behaved exactly as spring water did, almost. So I did an experiment. I got tap water from next door, because my tap water is already structured. It's structured by the activated water. It's structured by the frequency field already as well. So I brought tap water in from outside, and I got alkaline water, 9.5, and I got my activated water, and I got the spring water from the mountains. And I took a drop or two of sesame oil, and you should try this. So I put the sesame oil into the little glasses of the water, stirred it up, and watched to see what happened. So the normal tap water, which is unstructured, the oil never mixed at all, because of course oil and water traditionally don't mix. In the alkaline water, it mixed up. So the oil went miscible into the alkaline water, the activated water miscible, and the spring water completely miscible. And in a short space of time, in the alkaline water, the oil popped out. So it became oil again, into the oil phase. So it didn't stay suspended in the water. In the activated water and the spring water, the oil stayed suspended, gone. You couldn't see it. In the spring water, you could not see a trace of oil. Now, you know what that means to humans. If we're consuming spring water or activated water, structured water, that means that we are assisting our body deal with oil that may be undigestible, not enough enzymes, but we're also making that oil that we are consuming at the same time, or however we're doing it, miscible with the blood. That means it shoots everywhere. It doesn't get stuck. It doesn't get stuck in the liver, around the heart, or anything like that. So that really taught me a lot, but it also taught me about the nature of different waters. And I also understood the conductivity of water. So water needs to have a current. It needs to have a charge. Needs to have a wettability charge so that we absorb it naturally via osmosis. And so that charge needs to be a bit higher than ours, otherwise it's not going to get absorbed. So that's why some people put lemon juice or Himalayan salt in their water to give it that charge to increase the absorption. Because some people will come and tell me they're drinking 3-4 liters of water a day and they're dehydrated, and I can see it under the microscope. So they are dehydrated. It's because the water has no wettability, it has no charge, no conductivity. Remember, we're about everything about current, everything about conductivity, electromagnetic, scalar wave, quantum. That's the space we're in, because that space raises our vibrations, that space is about electrons, and that space activates the DNA. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's what we're doing. So this is what I learned and I saw. And even one day, when the children were playing across the table, I don't know, we were eating, And one of them almost knocked over the glass of water that had the activated water in. And my little child at that stage said to me, Mom, if that was normal water, it would have fallen out of the glass. It would have actually fell out. But because it was structured, had a density about it, it actually never went out of the glass. It stayed in the glass. So that was a child observing something they didn't even really know. Any case, so I'm very proud about that. So my garden gets drenched in activated water. I shower in activated water. We drink activated water. And the pH of that water is 7.5, 7.4, exactly the pH of the blood. So more than that, I don't think in the middle of the city you could really want more than that, okay? And that's equivalent to the spring water, which is 7.4. So anybody selling or buying spring water that doesn't have the pH of 7.4, forget it. At one stage, one of our top chains here was selling spring water with a pH of 4.1. 4.1 is acid. You can wash your dishes. It's vinegar. Spring water, pH 4.1. And I don't know if I said it too many times or what happened, but they must have got the idea of this. So now they have a spring water of 8.1. No, our tap water is 8.1, slightly alkaline. Spring water is dead on 7.4. Okay, so I'm just wising you up a little bit. All right. And that's the bottom line. So even our tap water, was better than that spring water from a pH point of view. So of course we don't want to be drinking acid water because that's just going to make us completely acid inside and rust us and cause all the inflammation and everything that goes with it. So I put this water activator in. It's literally there forever. I don't have to clean it. There is no filter. And if I move, I take it with me, for example. Then I put in water tanks. And I have seven 10,000 liter water tanks, all on concrete bases, secure, all connected, and, ready for the very big drought. So anyhow, I have all of this, okay, and they are all half full, and we use it and we fill it up and everything as necessary. So that was my next thing, to get water. And we do have a lot of rain in summer, so it's just a matter of collecting it. And then if there happened to be a very bad drought or something did happen, there's water available. And then when you water your garden with this water with the high wettability, the soil retains more moisture for longer. So you're actually using about a third less water than you would normally use, just to say. And if you're using indigenous plants, you're also using less water. And it's less fiddle. You don't have the beetles eating the plants. You don't have, when we have a huge hailstorm and everything gets flattened. My garden is not flattened. It actually thrives with hail and it just resuscitates itself. I've got lots of foresty areas. So when the leaves fall, they fall and I get new compost forming again. So I've got 23 years of layers of leaves that have fallen. They've never been dug up. I've left the microbiome intact. This soil is dark chocolatey brown and it smells like the forest. I'm in the middle of Johannesburg in the suburbs. And every morning I walk for half an hour around the property and it's as if I'm in a coastal dunes or wherever. So you see, you can create your paradise, and that's what I'm trying to say to you. And each one's paradise is different to the other. You might be getting the feeling going along your DNA curve that you want to move out of the city, out of the suburbs even. You want to go and find a farm or find a mountain next to a stream. I don't know, but everybody gets their uncomfortable feeling and does something about it. So for me, it's to be where I am and to heal the people around and to awaken. And I'm fortunate that I live in a 10K radius, 5 to 10K radius of people who've all studied health, optimized and maximized their own health and everything. So a very tight sort of 4K radius, 4 to 5K radius, and then a 10K radius, I would say. Yeah. So it really is a nice hub, and I'm sure in your countries and places you also have those nodes. And that helps. It helps the vibration because it's the DNA of the people that we're speaking about. The vibration of the people. Some people call it the genetics of the area. Okay. And it's where you choose and what and how you choose to operate. Okay, and that's our choice. So yeah, in the middle of the suburb, we've got a forest, we've got an oasis, and I've now got the trees, the indigenous trees in. I've got nature around me, feeding me, the noises feeding me, the insects, the birds, as well as the actual trees and plants. We've got the water, we've got the water tanks. And then I started studying biodynamic farming, which is ahead of organic and permaculture and cruci. And there's only one real reason for that, and that is that it takes the cosmos into consideration. And the planting becomes very calendar-based, and they have a special biodynamic farming calendar, and at certain times in the moon phases, etc., you plant the veggies that are under the ground growing, or you harvest the ones that are underground growing, or you harvest the ones that are fruit growing, or flowers, or leaves. And a lot of it makes very, very good, perfect sense. I spoke last night about it as well, because they use very high frequency herbal products, and in connection, that have been a high vibration through the cosmos and in connection with the cosmos to really raise the vibration of the food, and then obviously raising our vibration. Because Rudolf Steiner talked about what we eat affects what we think, which affects what we do. And I really took that to heart. And I mastered how to grow the most unbelievably nutrient-dense food. I understood the soil fertility, I understood composting, and I have done hundreds of courses on compost making. We make this gold black compost. When you hold it in your hand, it glides. It is unbelievable. And when you put your hand down the compost pile and you feel the heat in the bottom there, it's boiling. And that's what's killing anything that's toxic, and it's transforming the minerals from organic into inorganic back into organic. Unbelievable nature. And I really stood back and revered all of this that was happening. And when you're outside and you're making the compost and you're planting, you have birds around you, and they come in after you and they look in the soil, and it just creates this wonderland. And I'll tell you a story about actually a client, and she, from a health point of view, and then she said to me, please come and do my garden. And she had a really big plot. So we did about, must have been about 400 square meters of garden, okay? And so we went there, we started small, and we increased it, and we planted fruit trees and all sorts of things. Anyway, so we're starting all of this, and I take my feet off straight away, because I want to get minerals from the soil, I want to get microbes from the soil, and I just love it. So right now I'm standing here, I don't have shoes on. Those of you who know me, if I get the chance, my shoes are off. I'm not grounded right now because I'm inside and there's damp proofing. But the minute I step outside, I've got earth energy, Sherman's resonance. And our body is looking for the Sherman's resonance. In other words, it's looking for our GPS every 90 seconds. So you think about it, if you're inside all day, you're missing. Every 90 seconds, you don't have a GPS. You're not located on the planet, basically. You are not located on the earth. So that's why I've got earthing mats and all the things that I do have. But anyway, so we need to get back to the story. So we start the planting. She has shoes on. She's probably went and got her gloves and so on. And then I'm touching the seeds, and we were potting some and for germination, and we were then also planting, and all my hands in and all the rest of it. My nails are fine, but they get in the soil. Anyway, and then she was watching me, and she took the gloves off and started fiddling with the sand. And she said to me, you know, Jane, I don't remember the last time I ever touched soil. So I said, okay, that's fine, no problem. The cows are mooing, and the chickens roosters are crowing, and the nature's around and everything, and we're having a great time planting. And then I saw the shoes come off. And she said to me, you know, Jane, I I've never walked outside barefoot. She said, I can't remember ever. Obviously, when she was a child, she must have, but she said, I cannot ever remember. She said, I don't take my shoes off. She said, I walk to the shower in shoes or slippers. I get out of the shower, I put shoes or slippers on, and then I get into my bed. She said, I never walk bare feet. And she said, I definitely don't touch the ground. So here was this lady now in the sunshine with nature, touching the soil, feet in the soil, etc., etc. We finished for the day and went home. And she then texted me the next day and she said to me, Jane, you won't believe the sleep that I had. She said, I've never slept so beautifully. And she just said, thank you for the day. Thank you for the teaching. And I knew my job was done. And from that on, she really, flourished with her garden and had beautiful harvest of all the things we grew, and she grew more and more and more. So, it takes such a small little time to make such a big effort in someone's life, such a big change. So that's kind of what I've done. I've done a lot of gardens, a lot of also for schools for mentally handicapped children, etc., etc. And it's so strange. This is another story. So I go to the school. I get called in to do this. It was completely charity work. And I go to the place where they've demarcated, also big, very big, for their food growing. And what is growing there? That little bacopa plant, the one that is unbelievable for brain oxygenation. But it was literally strewn from one corner to the other across this area that they wanted to plant. And I said to them, my goodness, you should be putting this in the children's salad every single day. So can you see also how nature speaks to us and we don't even know about it? Here was the school. All the children needed on a day-to-day basis basically was one of those bit of that plant sprinkled into their salad. So it's too incredible. People with Lyme's disease have got cat's claw growing in their garden. Cat's claw is one of the number one things that helps with Lyme's disease, and it grows on our doorstep. So we really are ignorant. We really do have to relearn a huge amount of things, a really, really huge amount of things. So that was the biodynamic gardening, and I learned so much. And then at this stage also my children are growing up, and we're making fires in the garden and stepping stones and swings and all of that kind of thing. And then I started observing, as I say, the plants from a nutrition point of view, because that was my main aim. And then measuring it with a Brix meter. It's a refractometer, and you measure the photosynthesis effect. Basically, you measure the refraction of light, and the higher the refraction of light, the more glucose has been formed in the plant, and that's an indication of the mineral content and the nutrient value of the plant, just to say. So I watched these values increase, and I watched the taste in the lemon juice first of all. So it was a very insipid pale, and now I get a golden juice out of these lemons. And the lemon tree is probably 30-something years old, well, one of them. It's still laden with fruit. We feed it everything. We feed it what we eat. I feed my chickens what we eat. I feed my dogs what we eat. And that is kelp, it's spirulina, it's microbiome reset, the probiotic, it's almost gold, it's zeolite, the volcanic rock dust, the RNA DNA replica. That doesn't go into the soil, but that goes into the chickens and the dogs over there, sprinkled over their food and in their water and so on. So you see, and I watched these lemons each year, because each year they got more and more ormus, and their vibration increased. I was taking the ormus gold as well, and the nutrient value was getting better. The frequency, the vibration of the lemons was getting higher, and the size of the lemons was getting bigger. And you can go and Google this. You can go and Google any farmer who uses ormus. Literally, the oranges will start off small, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger in the pictures. Even the bushes on this side, the berry bushes, and the berry bushes on that side, that didn't get the ormus gold and all this wonderful stuff. So it's simple. I used to drive to the coast to get seawater. Instead of flying, I drove 6 hours, and then I would fill up these 5-liter plastic containers, and I would bring them back. And twice a year, I would drench the fruit trees and the vegetables and everything in the seawater, because of the mineral content, the ormus content, and the whole entire nourishment of it. Not diluted or anything, straight onto the plants. So that's my plant story, and I really understood and mastered that. And I'll be going into a lot more depth and showing you photographs and things in time to come, in the new courses and that. And then I started looking around and I thought to myself, okay, now I need to have a look at the geometric space that I'm living in, because I've got this sort of thing sometimes about corners, and I felt that there needed to be a flow around the building, the house, and a flow inside the house, an S-shaped or curved shapes, or I don't really like corners and things. Anyway, I did a whole lot of things, and I enclosed an open veranda in, and I put windows all over, very, very wide, very big, nature in and out. I wanted it seamless. And I wanted massive amounts of lights coming in, which I did, and I coated the windows. I put a huge dome-shaped octagon in, those of you who've been to my place, which is a healing room. So it's a scalar wave, right? We're talking quantum, we're talking scalar, we're talking vibration, we're talking DNA activation, nothing more, nothing less. So write your recipe out, what you're going to do this, because then you're operating on a very high intellectual plane that's very heart-driven, which is really what we do want. We want the heart and the mind to join. So we want the seventh chakra up here to start really activating, or all of them for that matter. So with our feet on the ground, grounded, I started doing things like observing the sun at sunrise and sunset and getting fed from the sun rays. So that's beautiful. And really enjoying all of that kind of thing. And I then looked at the heating, because heating is a very important aspect. We have probably 6 to 8 weeks of really cold in Johannesburg. Otherwise, we have really gorgeous weather. And you can probably hear the Beatles singing right now. And so we need to be warm. It gets to about 1-0 on average, not for long. So I literally gutted the entire bottom floor and literally to the gravel. It looked like a war zone. And then I built it up with insulation and everything. It was complete retrofit, underfloor water piping, heating, an off-grid pellet burner, a little geyser on its own. And so we have off-grid heating, and we use pellets which are made from alien trees, which are really menaces to our water structure, our rivers and dams and things. And well, there's a never-ending supply of those, because we make them, South Africa exports them and has done for many, 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 many years. So I thought, well, that'll last my lifetime, this heating arrangement. So I'm very happy about that. So we heat for a very small amount every day in those cold weeks, and everything's contained because I'm insulated everywhere. And I use the main pellet burner inside. If I move you can see the pellet burner there, that gray thing. That's the pellet burner. And yeah, so then I sorted that out, you see. So now I wasn't going to have anybody cold. I was able to sort that out. So we've got water, we've got nature. And by the way, I forgot to say, every single one of the trees planted is a medicinal tree. So there are lots of books on the medicinal value of trees, particularly in African trees. We have a lot of species of trees and fauna and flora in this country. So I have the books, and I just haven't really got to it. But their bark, their leaves, their roots, their flowers, their seeds, all have medicinal value. So it's basically a mini botanical garden, if you could say. I'm very proud of what I've done, I have to tell you. And it just how it's being created. And the more I revere it, the more beautiful it becomes, and the more grateful I am, and the higher my vibration. Okay, so that's very important. So we got the house and the space sorted out. And then I also looked at the texture of the materials, and the 3 and the 4 foldness of the home, and what silk did to the home, and what wool does to the home, what cotton does to the home, and linen. So all the materials that are used are completely natural. And and the use of wood, obviously, and I know there's an issue with obviously cutting trees down and things like that. So in any way, using the wood to good effect. And then also, right, so now I've done all of that. So one of the other things to look at was the electricity. So I just mentioned a bit about off-grid. The heating is off-grid. And then I really mastered this as well. And I've helped people, by the way. So you start by changing your light bulbs. You start by going off-grid insofar as the geysers are concerned. You put in solar geysers. That's easy. That makes a massive difference in your electricity bill. Then you move to gas cooking. Massive difference in your electricity bill. You switch the gas on, you heat your food, you switch it off. There's no waiting 5 minutes for the plate to get warm. And when your food's cooked, it's optimum, and you take your food off, and it literally takes 20 or 30 minutes to cool down again. Although it's off, it will be off, but never mind. So there's a huge economies regarding all of that. So I put all of that in place. And then you start looking at timers and things. I put a complete solar pump into my swimming pool, along with an activator. So my use of chlorine granules is hardly anything. My pool water is totally drinkable. And in any case, I've got this solar pump in for all the irrigation, everything. Very low energy draw pumps. You put in a washing machine, and I only use solar water, solar heated water. So I'm not drawing anything. Well, I don't have geysers on anyway. So the solar heats the water for the washing. So it's a cold washing machine, basically. Doesn't heat it up. And let me think what else. And then you just observe the lights, and you don't leave them on in rooms that you're not in. You're just conserving anyway. And then you manage your electricity like that. I've had my photovoltaic system in for 10 years. It's lasted. It stood the test of time. We're having full webinar, and we're on solar. So when I shower in the morning, it's activated water that's heated by the sun. Ticks the boxes for me. When there's power outages, I don't know. I don't ever have a cold shower. Well, having said that, if it's an overcast day or 2 or 3 days of overcast, the water can get a bit lukewarm. But the panels work on light as opposed to heat, sun heat. They work on light, so they get immediately charged. So anyway, I put all of that in place, and of course the investment on that was paid back within 3 years. So for the last 7 years, I haven't had expenses regarding electricity, and there's been huge hikes. So it was really a money back investment. And and then for the rest of it, you just make sure that you don't have plastic lying around. It comes in the air sometimes if there's lots of wind, of course it's floating around, so you obviously clear all of that, you just really enjoy it all. It sustains you to live like this, and really does prop you up from an energetic point of view. So I entitled this talk about taking your power back, but in particular powering yourself using the sunshine and nature and the earth and the oxygen that's there, and then obviously the water. So that's really, really super powering. And then if you start adding in the superfoods, the algae, the medicinal mushrooms, the pollen, the propolis, the royal jelly, the honey. In my forest here, reishi mushrooms grow. So I've picked them before. I've also got turkey tail. So they just grow. Awesome. Turkey tail is the Coriolis one. A very hyper vibrational mushroom. I do have it. Should be on the site if you want it. Very, very used extensively for people who are on chemotherapy to nourish the nervous endings, just to say. So you'll be surprised what you'll find if you really do go and look. And if you don't have the nature around you, there's many parks, there's many wildlife places, many botanical gardens where you can literally go and soak this up. Once a week, I think, is probably minimum to go and just walk around and just fill yourself up with all of the nature spirits and that. So where and how you want to take your power back is going to be up to you, your purpose, where you need to be, what sort of clothing you need to have, is it a warm climate, a cold climate? That's just an individual thing. Depends on everything. So, and there are many places that you could be, but just understand that at the end of the day, there's one earth. So if I'm on the east, north, south, or west of the earth, I'm still on the earth. If I'm in the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean or the Indian Ocean, I'm in the sea. Doesn't matter. Same sea. Just called something different. So the water's the same and the earth is the same. So don't fall into that trap. And I believe that, because I do talks for the International Convention of Higher Consciousness, and they were saying that there are, I think, 25 islands have appeared near the Philippines. They've risen up in the last very short while. 25 land masses have risen up out of the sea. So who knows what, where, when, or why. I mean, I thought that with the snow melting, the ice melting, the water was sinking, but there you go. And that can be tectonic, it can also be tectonic plate movements. Yeah, so I just like to think that, I raise my awareness to the interconnectedness of soil, plants, animals, humans, and the cosmos. And, I'm always looking up. I'm always looking up and seeing and observing in the stars and just being, in a very nice space. I just want to see if we've got a little bit of time, I can actually send these photographs to, I can. I can send it to my WhatsApp, and then I can just show them quickly to you. Now remember, what one person does isn't what the other person does. This is to inspire you. Oh, all right. Now let's get those sent through if I can. Can. And then I'll just call on WhatsApp to to show it for us. Yeah, and next I put the seawater on my plants twice a year. I would drive down and collect salt water. So now you can use Himalayan salt. You can use desert salt. It doesn't matter which salt you're using. It's still from the sea eventually. It was originally sea any case. So you can put the mineral rich, you see. So even the plants want the electrons and the minerals. We've got to have conductivity. We've got conductivity. We've got a scalar wave. We've got energy. We don't have conductivity. We don't have a wave. It's flattened. Everything's just flattened and dead. So we want to be in a virtual space, virtual shifting, virtual gaining vibration, virtual gaining in momentum. I wonder if they loaded. Let me see. I'm trying to put 21 photographs through. Hold on. I don't think so. Let me just try a few then at a time. Let me go back there quickly. Okay, let me try 8. Ha! We have luck. And there's nothing better than eating out of your garden. It just hasn't traveled anywhere. It hasn't been exposed to toxicity. I'll tell you a scary story. I feed my dogs Acana food, Acana. I shouldn't probably really be saying this, but it's the best, right? It comes from Alaska and it's free range, whatever you want. And twice my doggies got sick, and I put the dog on my skier device, and guess what I found? DDT Roundup. So, even if the cattle are roaming in the grass all day, they still get fed pellets. And there's still toxicity in those pellets because those pellets are often made from grass where things have been sprayed. So seriously, I mean, this is what I found. Okay, next lot of photographs. Hold on a second. I got up to there. You just never know where this has all been, or everything has been hidden. Okay, let me get the last few. All right, I think that's it, and then I'm going to go on to oh, there's Greta. That's nice. Okay, now let's see what I did do. Just waiting for the WhatsApp to catch up. Why this is taking so long. I think because there's a couple of photographs still coming through. Let's just see. Yeah, they're all coming through now. So we do lots and lots of training at the center. Sustainability, water-wise, electricity, biodynamic vegetables, composting. And I mean, I can put a list out of the courses. And in fact, many of the courses on my website, if you want to go there, are based on what we've done here on practical. Oh, that's a video. Okay, hold on. Oh, okay, fine, perfect. Let me just stop. It's just a little one. Okay, so I think I've got all the videos here. Let me just see. Now is the big question. I think I have to share. Did you see that picture? Did you all see the picture? Did you see the picture of the garden? Hello, anyone out there? I'm just going to go back again. Okay, perfect. Thanks. All right. So here is the veggie garden. Now, wait, hold on. Where's it gone? Jade. This changes. Literally every 2-3 months it's changing in the look. And so right now we've planted all our new ones. We've just had huge kale, huge spinach, lots of peas, and lettuces and rocket and basil in this particular bed, okay? You notice I've got a netting on the top, and that's to keep the hardy-dar ibis birds out. It also protects the plants if we have a lot of hail. And so that's just to tell you that's what we've got, the netting on the top. And then there's the beds, and I'm going to explain all why we do the beds like this and so on in the courses. There's the spinach, and I just took this, I ran outside just before we started. There are pumpkins growing. So we've got 10 pumpkins, and we're banking on a minimum of 10 pumpkins per pumpkin plant. So we're banking on 100 pumpkins a year. And we figured out that would be a good sustainable amount. So that we have there. Here are our compost heaps. There's a big stick in the middle of the one, and we'll take it out soon. But this is a layered approach to making compost, which I teach on. So just to show you, there's our compost heap. And then here's the garden. There's part of the dome. So this is indigenous setting. Those are Kenyan acacia trees. There's some beans sticking out. Behind this part is the detox center, and that vegetable patch is to the right of this. And then just to show you a little bit more of the dome and the beans, I've got 40 species of beans. Cross colors, cross sizes, you name it, from around the world. And we feed ourselves a lot on beans. I like that. There's the lemon tree I was speaking about. That lemon tree is 30 years old. And it just yields every year, again and again and again. And I'll tell you a story about that tree. There used to be grass there, and it really struggled. And it never had all the minerals that it needed. And the minute we put soil around it, removed the grass out of the way, it flourished even more, just to tell you. And this grass here, we're gonna build. In fact, the compost is coming tomorrow, so we're taking a line from there all the way up and towards behind me, and this is all going to be vegetables. I'm just growing and growing and growing and growing and planting now. There are the solar panels. There's crystalline beds on the top there, just to show you. So I had that grid specially made. And this is my detox center. There are 2 infrared saunas in there. That's a bathroom. There's an ozone and a fridge in there. And then this is the massage acupuncture room. There's some solar panels, just to show you. So this is a very nice place to sauna and ozone and relax. And unfortunately, it was dark, so my little chickies are there. And they are GMO free. They've never eaten a GMO corn ever. So they get sorghum, they get millet, they get quinoa, they get sunflower seeds, and they get the spirulina and the kelp and everything else as well. And they get greens from the garden, and we actually grow for them as well. So we grow all sorts of leaves for them. And then people that help me, they eat the eggs. I just don't, because they have the most awesome little babies. And they've just had some now, they're so cute. So this looked radically different, let's say when we were doing, in March, when we were doing our, or one of our turning points, which was middle of about June. This thing was, the veggies were high, etc. We had lots and lots of everything. Here's a grapefruit tree, here's another lemon tree. No, sorry, that's a nachi tree. Here's a pawpaw tree. It grew on its own. And you see the thick mulch that we put over everywhere. This here is sorghum. These ones here are sorghum. This one here doesn't need a fence across because the big birds can't take off. They don't come there. And here are the beehives. 3 of them. This is the one where they've recently joined. And these here are the really, really old ones. They just keep going. So the little entrance is down the bottom, and they have this flat path in the figure of 8 flat path. There's the water tanks, one of them, all in the forest. And then I just took some more pictures. There's pathways leading up to the deck there through. Another one. That's just looking up at the dome to show you the feel. So there's 2 real areas of grass, where it grows, and that's there. And then just behind there, the veggies are behind there, just to show you. And this is another in the forest pathway. So people don't believe it when they come, because they just said this is like literally being in the bush. I can't believe I'm in Johannesburg. So it's really nice. And this is a beautiful tree, and the energy of this tree is unbelievable. And there was a shaman, a proper shaman, who used to come do some courses here, and she used to walk all the way around and find very special energy points, and this was definitely one of them. So this tree really does speak to me. And yeah, it's very, very gorgeous. And here's the pond. So this greenery are the little seeds from these lilies. So in nature, you would have a river that flowed through, and it would take the seedlings down the river, and they would get caught in crevices and stuff and then grow. So we don't have that escape part here. So all the little baby water lilies are here. So that's what the greenery is, but lots and lots of green elementals, lots of green elementals. Lots of frogs, and they really, really do croak. I don't know if you can hear the sound on this. So that's just to show you, you know, what's possible. And Annette, do you want to speak? Because I saw your hand is up. I've invited you in if you want to. That's absolutely perfect. So it's been this journey to get it to this place. And then, as I say, I've also got the practice in here. So people are coming in for assessments and you know, to get their nutrients, to detox. So it's really an all-encompassing, real sort of organic wellness center where people can come and learn and sit on the deck and relax and all of that. So that's what I've created. I just wanted to share a bit with you, but it was very empowering for me because this can be, I can repeat this anywhere. I know what to do. And it is my aim, by the way. And it was what was speaking to me. So it was a passion. Is a passion, but it's done. So you know, now I'm moving into other places and spaces, and which is also exciting, very, very exciting. And I just want to teach more and more people. I think that's really the aim. Actually, what am I saying? Teaching? It's basically reawakening people, because our ancestors. Our granny, for example, grandfather knew all this. It's actually incredible how in such a few generations we wiped out our intelligence, our survival instinct, our backyard farm, our backyard gardening, eating out of our own small holding. We forgot about it. So this is the place. What do I buy? So I buy, to tell you the truth, coal manure. I do buy coal manure because I don't have a cow here. But I think I do have the zoning for one. So I used to tease my children, I'm going to get a cow. And the last thing they wanted was to bring their friends. I mean, they already had the mom that was, you know, barefoot. And then to bring their friends to a home where there was a cow. But I'm not past that yet. It's possible. Just to say. In any case, so I do buy coal manure for our compost because that's the best. Okay, the ruminating of the cow through the seven stomachs, that is what processes everything, okay, energetically. And I'll buy fruit. I've got some berries. I've got a few fruit trees, but fruit needs to be bought. Let me think what else. Nuts. I've got a few nut trees, but nuts I'll buy. Some seeds I'll buy. And then a lot of the stuff that I use to make the nutrients in the product ranges. Those go into the smoothies. And tea I don't buy because I have. Coffee, I'll buy coffee if I feel like coffee from time to time. And then I will get a bit of raw milk from time to time. Let me think, I'll buy food for the staff. And then obviously, but I'm just talking food wise, you know, that's what I would look at. And my seeds are all self-sustainable and I swap out with people. yeah, so there we have it. Buy less, give more, give away more. So I'm really growing now so that I'm actually in that position. And what I'm also doing is developing the community around me, because we live in very high-walled suburbs and you don't even necessarily even know the person next to you. And so what I'm doing now is just connecting the dots within the smaller radius first and starting to educate and make my presence felt locally while I also develop globally. So there's this whole localization, they call it global localization. And as opposed to the huge, big global companies going local, now we've got the opportunity for the local space to go global. Why? Because we have technology. So we can reach anyone. We don't have to have, small businesses don't have to have the money to get on a plane. You just sign up with Skype. Skype records, it does everything. You don't even need Zoom. Skype's for free. Just to say. So that's enabled many people, and this has enabled many people as well to local to global. And that's where the new space is, and that's where we need to be aiming for. And well, those businesses, because this whole series we're talking about health, home, food, and business. So now I've gone on to a bit of business. So you make yourself sustainable as far as you can, okay? And then you look at your business, look at even it's not a business, what you're doing, your day-to-day, your purpose. And you don't have to go global at all either. You can just stay with your community too. That's also fun. It's not really, doesn't have to be that relevant. Depends on you. So you can do that. And in that way, I think it's about taking your power back, but it's also about empowering people. And I think that's where the biggest gift is. The biggest gift is empowering people. The biggest gift is in giving as opposed to receiving. We do need to receive, but the giving is more important. So people who have, it's more important for you to give than for the people who don't have to receive. Just saying, I learned that. I put up a called the Alexander Children's Haven in a place very close to Santon. 300 children, all AIDS children, and a third of them child-headed homes. That means 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds running the home because the mothers died. And I gave children their first ever pair of shoes, never mind school uniform, and I had 3 full meals a day for them. And I got it all company sponsored. So the trucks would drive in and bring the food and drive out. It was just absolutely automated. It was too amazing. So, I've been there, I've done that. I've had people drop off huge boxes of toys and clothing, and I've taken it through. So I would take it through, and as full as my car was, and as much as I was giving, I came away wealthier. The gifts I received from these children, the little stories that they whispered in my ears, what I saw, that activated me on such a level that I left richer than when I went there. So I'm just saying, I'm going to end with that. Okay, there's wonderful, wonderful things for us to do out there and share and really, really empower other people. And by doing that, you empower yourself. You activate your DNA. You raise your vibration. You think clearly, you live productively. So again, I hope I've stimulated your creativity, raised your inspiration, your drawing on your imagination and what you can dream, so that we can take the potential energy and shift it across into kinetic energy so that we can manifest our purpose. So that's the aim. And go beyond our purpose and beyond that purpose, if you like, so it doesn't really end. And, just experience the most joy ever. And I hope you're putting into practice some of the five-dimensional space. That's really not worrying about the trivialities, creating your freedom, creating freedom for yourself. I suppose that's also about taking your power back and empowering yourself and empowering others, is creating freedom. So we've done the full circle. So thanks very much. And then tomorrow, I don't have my little list in front of me. I should have it. Let me just have a look here. I think I was so quickly running outside to get pictures, but I will post what we're talking about tomorrow. And if you've got something you want me to talk about to add to it, let me know too, please. I'm thinking that I'm going to be doing whatever I have decided. It's on the website anyway, but I'm going to be bringing in quite a lot about scalar. Scalar wave, the morphogenic field, and the spin, together with whatever we were talking about. So it has to be organic. Otherwise, it's like doing a meal plan for a week. Who's ever stuck to a meal plan for the week? No, not going to happen. We can do it in theory, but we might just not feel like what we put down for lunch. And that's quite right, because we should be eating the minerals that and the food and the electrons in that spin that we need. Enough on that. Okay, guys, document what you're doing. Zoom up. Get yourself into the most benevolent space ever. Thanks for coming in. And I'll post.